Hi, superstars. It's time for science. We are on the module Protecting Our Earth, and we are on lesson 1, land, air, and water pollution. You're going to listen to a story, the Lorax, and you're going to learn about effects of pollution. So I want you to predict what's going to happen if the boy plants the last truffulus seed. And while you're listening to the story, I want you to pay attention to the changes in the setting that can be seen in the pictures when pollution begins to build up in the environment. Let's listen.
The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere, from the far end of town where the grickle grass grows? The old Onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of miff-muffered moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great, great, great grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count, to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snuv, his secret strange hole in his grovulous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-mophone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slop! Down slops the whisper-mophone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swami swans rang out in space. One morning, I came to this glorious place. And I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees, I saw brown barbaloots, frisking about in their barbaloot suits, as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, Those trees, those truffula trees. All my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop, and with great skillful skill, and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft, and I knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I'd chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish, and oldish, and brownish, and mossy. And he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. "Mister," he said with a sawdusty sneeze, "I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs." He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. "What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft?" "Look, Lorax," I said, "there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I am doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt. It's a sock. It's a glove. It's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats." The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed." But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute, a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up, if you please." I rushed across the room, and in no time at all, built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, "Listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch." And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds, just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now, chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before. And that Lorax? He didn't show up anymore. But the next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. I, the onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies in tummies, you know. I meant no harm. I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory. I biggered my roads. I biggered my wagons. I biggered the loads of the thneeds I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snargled. He sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a cruffulous croak. Onceler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swami swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax. His dander was up. Let me say a few words about gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppity-glup, also sloppity-slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old onceler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering, and biggering, and biggering, and biggering, turning more truffula trees into thneeds, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more thneeds, no more work to be done. So, in no time, my uncles and aunts, every one, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big, empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad, backward glance, as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he heisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back.
Let's now open our science books to page 179. What usually happens when you plant a seed? It grows, right? What kind of plant do you think will grow after the boy plants a truffula seed? A truffula tree. That is correct. And where might more truffula seeds come from? They will come from the fully grown truffula, and that'll make more seeds. So the fully grown truffula tree will make more seeds. That way we can keep planting them. So on page 179, make sure you have your name and date on your paper. It asks, what will happen after the boy plants the seed? And draw a picture. So I want you to draw a picture of what you think will happen after he plants the truffula seed. So how can people make a difference in the environment? What did we learn from this story? And why is pollution an important part of this story? What is it telling us about pollution and how we can affect the environment? Remember when they cut off all the trees, all the pollution from the factories? How did that change the environment? How did that change the air, the water, the land? How does the environment change? So think about that and how people can make a difference. Let's turn to page 180 in your science book. You're going to need an adult, your mom or your dad, with this because you're going to do an investigation. You're going to need some water, cooking oil, food storage bags, small cups, and you can use blue or yellow or both food coloring in order to color the water and the oil so that you can see what happens when you put them in the plastic bag. So what you're going to do is you're going to color the water blue with the food coloring and have an adult do this for you or at least help you. And then you're going to add yellow food coloring to the oil. Now you're going to add the two one at a time in a plastic baggie that seals. You're going to make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen when you mix the water that is blue and the oil that is yellow? So before you do this, make a prediction. Remember, a prediction is a statement of what you expect to observe. So what do you think is going to happen when you put these two liquids in the bag? Okay, so you're going to put them gently and slowly in a bag with the help of your mom or dad. And before you mix them, you're going to draw a picture and show me what that looked like. And then you're going to seal the bag and you're gently going to mix the water and the oil and you're going to draw a picture of what it looks like after. Okay, and I want you to draw a nice picture. I want to see what happened with your little investigation. Good job, superstars. Are you ready to show what you've learned? You saw how pollution affects the earth. So now I want you to open up to page 181. You are going to do an investigation. And again, you need an adult, your mom or your dad, to help you with this. It shows the materials that you need: petroleum jelly, index cards, and a plastic spoon. So we are going to see how the air quality is. So what you're going to do first is you're going to, with a spoon, get some petroleum jelly out and spread it on the cards. You're going to leave one card inside in a place that no one's going to touch, and you're going to leave one card outside. You're going to check the cards after 1 day, and then you're going to check them again after 2 days. You will draw what you see on the next page. Make sure your name and date is on this, okay? So here's day 1 and day 2. So for card 1, you're going to draw a picture to show me what it looks like on day 1 and day 2, and then card number 2 on day 1 and day 2. All right, good job. Can't wait to see what you come up with.